Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an impromptu-ish video from a borough of Bournemouth called Boscombe. I'm in Boscombe town centre right now, at the bottom of the pedestrian precinct, if you like. That there is the arcade. Beautiful building. I shall do video on that one day. And I have done quite a few videos here, Boscombe, and about a quarter of a mile radius from my point here where I am, there's about 22 odd church-like buildings or big buildings, a bit like this one here. This is, I've just spent a little while trying to research this thing, but it's very difficult to do so. This used to be, when I was here, when I first moved here, a KFC. Of course, it's changed hands 1,000 times. These buildings get repurposed. By the way, how are you all doing? I hope everybody's fine. I hope everybody's doing well. I'm doing fine, thank you very much indeed. Sorry for not asking sooner. A gorgeous day, as you can see. There's a poignant picture. Hey, look at that. Two worlds collide, and we're in between both. Anyway, yeah, I tried to do a bit of research on this building, but it was difficult. All I managed to find out was that they're known as the TSB Apartments, which obviously they weren't known as when they were first built, because I don't think TSB Bank even existed in the early 1800s. I think you'll find most banks, if the truth be known, go back to roughly the same time period as every other institution that we invented or rolled out, as it were, to allow for a society to function. Things like police and things like postal service and education systems and all that sort of stuff, which all got developed into the 1900s. But this building here, without me going off too much of a tangent, is a cracker. There are so many references to those who restored it. You know, the first thing that springs to mind are the twin pillars that you see in every Masonic lodge that you enter. But this is quite astounding. As you can see, the first thing that springs to my mind immediately is red brick. Right? Now, if this falls in line with the other buildings around here in terms of the official date, then we're talking 1870s onwards, right, for this. Now we know, and I've done a lot of research on this, that mass production of bricks didn't happen before 1885. The reason why is multifold, but one of the main reasons was because we didn't have the infrastructure in place anyway for you to be able to transport thousands of tons of bricks, which would be required to build up things like this. Don't forget, half the town is gone, you know what I mean? They've done a lot of ripping down the buildings and all that sort of stuff over the decades. As we all know, how many, town centres have had a facelift, so-called, train stations be revamped into postmodern nonsense, when in actual fact all they're doing is concealing the past and making sure there's not too much of it so that not too many people ask questions. It's as simple as that. That includes wars and everything else, but I'll go into that another time. But here you can see, I remember not so long ago I did a video of the Masonic Hall in Knoll Road, and it's funny how all you have to do is hold your camera up in the air and then people get out their vans and look up to see what you're looking at. I'm looking at a building. I'm not sure what they expect me to be filming. Probably think I'm filming a robbery or something. So as you can see here, we have these sand-coloured frames around these windows that I talked about, that you see on most churches and all old buildings like town halls and things like that. It's almost as if they've added windows and then, signed them off with their signature, right? So one thing you see a lot are these vortexes. You see them on top of pillars, excuse my finger, and everything, right? Look at that there, see that? Like two waves colliding, one from the right, one from the left. I mean, what does that symbolise? We know what officially it could all symbolise, power and generation and all that sort of stuff. I think it goes deeper than that. I think it symbolises a bringing together of two worlds. the amalgamation and the moving from the old via the Victorian restoration in the 1800s to what we now see. And if you go round the side, you'll see it a bit better on this curved front, if you like, no gable, right? And you see it here as well. Look at the pillars, look at the square, the use of the square in that picture frame corner that I always like to call it, above the window. There's a lot of intricate details in this bit of architecture, and behind all this cladding, of course, are red bricks. And of course, we are elevated here. This is not ground level, this is surface level, right, as demonstrated over there with grids on the floor, with prism lights. Well, in fact, I don't even have to go over there, I can go over here to show you that this is what we see. So yeah, the question there, I mean, it's a beautiful bit of architecture, and it's not even really the question of whether the narrative is right or not right. There you have your prism lights. Wherever you see them, they're contingencies, because of course you're not supposed to build basement walls with windows in them, right? That's nonsense. So this is all elevated, but what I do like about this is that they've left on a quite, well, they haven't left it on, I think they've added it, I should say, so I'm going to correct myself there, because look, they end plumb with ground level, but of course we know that's not ground level. So this here has been added, and so is the stuff in front of it. All the stuff that you see, white, sandstone, grey, beige, whatever you want to call it, that is cladding that has been added. In my opinion, these windows did not exist, just like in the churches, because nobody would have lived in them, because this isn't the original height of the buildings, is it? It's all been levelled up. So that means the gaps are manufactured after we've created this. They've settled for this and put windows in to create stories, as in floors. Otherwise, it wouldn't make sense, right? And don't forget, you're talking millions and millions of bricks all told that were required for all the red brick buildings around just Boscombe alone, right? So you're talking 22, like I said earlier, buildings at least about church size and bigger in a quarter of a mile radius roughly, right? So you got, like, you know, across the road you've got derelict buildings, but of course what do you see? Main feature, red bricks, red bricks, red bricks, everywhere you look. All right, that's newer on the left there, but here right in front of us, you know, look at all that. Now, according to the librarian in Southbourne, which is a couple of miles up that road, she told me in a very, what's the word to use, in a way that teachers would be proud of, that of course the red bricks were supplied from Weymouth, not taking into account that unless levitation power was a general thing, how would that have even been possible? You know, considering the first train track which was made of wood that was ever made was between Stockton and Darlington in 1825, right? So you did not have a rail network up and running at all until the mid-1800s. So that puts to bed all your cowboy and western films about them chasing post trains across the desert and the prairie and Red Indians and all that sort of stuff. How? We didn't even have that tech up and running properly in Europe, considering it started in England, according to the narrative, right? But anyway, all this stuff here, as you can see, I'll give you an example. Excuse the... But if you look at here, remember I told you if you rub at it, it wears away. There you go. See that erosion there over the window? And you don't see that over every window. But you see it over certain windows, right? And again, here you have the vortexes, one on each side. And then here, I think you have quite an interesting motif that resembles an organisation. And there again, you have your vortexes coming together there, or whatever you want to call them, waves, side-on, cross-section views, whatever. But anyway, yeah, and all this here I am suggesting is cladding, including all of that. These posts and pillars here, because they've plumb with ground level, or surface level I should say, but we know, just by going along that building where that gentleman's walking now in the light blue shorts, that along that building there are prism lights to allow sunlight in, to allow natural light into basement windows, which turn into basement windows because they never originally planned it like that before the masons got their hands on it and restored it all as per restoration noted in the history books. So there you have it. This was once a KFC. All I got out of this was it used to be called Lloyd's Chambers. I can't get anything else out of it in terms of date it was built and all that, allegedly, but it doesn't even really matter because you can chisel in any date in a wall. That makes no difference. I suggest that the dates that you see on all these buildings are the dates the buildings were restored, not the dates they were built. Just for logistical reasons alone, it wouldn't have been possible. Never mind the less than 1,000 people that lived here in this whole area in the 1880s or 1870s or whatever. I can't remember now. I did a video on that where I looked it all up and all that, and it was quite interesting. But there you go. I just wanted to bring that to you. Unfortunately, I didn't have more information, but then you don't really need more information because any information you do have has been provided to us, for us, by the peer reviewers, the ones who decide who get to teach in schools and stuff. Never forget that. It's very, very important to remember that this is all part of the network that sets up and maintains and pushes agendas and all the rest of it. Not just pushes agendas, accompanies them, makes sure of their success, their continuation, etc., etc. Well, same chaps and chapesses, because don't be fooled, ladies also have lodges, are responsible for all this. But there you have it. So, anyway, on another note, on a positive note, I should say, although it is all positive, because it's nice to look at, because these buildings are gorgeous, no doubt about it. Just quickly, just to illustrate my point there, but look, the wear and tear of the beige bits, you know. This has all been cleaned up, this was scaffolding on front of this for a long time. But anyway, there you go. I just wanted to bring that to you because I thought that was quite interesting that you see this in the middle of, you know, a borough, a town, whatever, and you've got them everywhere. You know, I can go to Southbourne, I can go to Westbourne, I can go to pretty much any borough of Bournemouth, and you will see this. Right, so there we go. Anyway, on that note, that's all I wanted to bring you. Makes a change from reporting on other stuff, to be fair, but I thought that'd be something worth bringing as the light is gorgeous today. So of course the effect on the buildings is much nicer optically. So on that one I'm gonna leave right there with this shot, and I'll say, you know, look after yourselves. Thank you for looking in, listening in. Sorry, I'm just a little bit distracted because it's a little bit busy around my back of me, sort of thing, people bouncing around and stuff. So typical Boscombe, it has its moments. Yeah, but anyway, I'll leave that there. Thank you for listening in and looking in, and I hope you have a good rest of your week. I hope you approach the weekend in fine fettle. And like I say, thanks for looking in, and I will see you all soon, some of you sooner. Until then, take it all easy, and ta-ta for now.